This video is intended to describe a stationary light blade travel size mounted device named Abundance, which is the 26th rendition in short succession to the particular abundance ratio seen right here. So obviously, at a glance, there's quite a bit to cover before a full notarized dissertation is performed, so I will go ahead and discuss the primary directive or intended functional purpose of this unit seen right before us in this video. So the aspect of this crystalline composition is, of course, terminated and wired around this entirety of this small Himalayan salt lamp for a distinct purpose of optimal efficiency. So the aspect of utilizing the salt lamp with an incandescent bulb, most importantly, not LED, to generate heat, also, of course, emanates the heat to the salt to produce a very powerful purification emanation field that can be captured by this apparatus rigging unit to recirculate the entire purified vibratory output through the entire closed-loop crystalline structure seen before us. So the aspect of why that's quite critical, is, of course, for a space is to amplify the entirety of the crystal group yet be mentioned to a very high premium ideal max capacity configuration for the entire group of crystals in the closed-loop circuit. And before the crystal extensive crystalline composition is discussed, I'll be discussing the further purpose of this alligator clip right here, which goes into a wire, seen like so, which is developed to go into a ground of an outlet, which is the most important aspect of the constructed intention of this entire unit, is to, of course, have this whole crystal group be purified at peak efficiency by basically keeping it with high yield purification charge in a closed loop circuit, then to take this unit and ground it through the outlet, which by law, all outlets are in a space connected together, and somewhere on the premises, of course, is tied and grounded to a copper rod driven into the earth by code, by building laws. So that aspect takes that entire frequency pitch and pilots through all of the outlets for the entire space, going most importantly into the earth to ground the energy, to of course make the magic real, and perpetuate a containment field piloting this energy through all of the outlets in the entire space, which makes it a very versatile practical utilization for the traveling practitioner, for example, who goes to Airbnbs, different houses, different places, to ideally have this unit purify a space to maintain impeccable energetic harmonization. Of course, oh yes, this will be my whimsical stick figure chakra map I'll be utilizing for the dissertation for visual reference. And so ideally, having this energy ideally purifying through the entire space will bring a very powerful continuity of equilibrium for the auric field's integrity, or healthy vibrations, if you would, for the entire space wherever the recipient finds himself staying at for that purpose. So without further ado, I'll be discussing the primary blade band power pack after this foundational transmutation ratio is fully discussed. So the very top apex of this, which would be the crown of the candle, is a foundational scaffolding of the transmutation ratio, consisting of hematite and smoky quartz, in a circuit like so at the very top with all the other components grounded into. There's actually a power pack on the backside, which eventually I will be discussing. And the aspect of the transmutation ratio playing a very critical role is to be indeed perform how it's intendedly functioned, to be mentioned as transmuting negativity into positivity by utilizing iron-based hematite to be a very strong grounding of all excess energy through the root chakra, through the earth stars, into the earth marine matrix reprocessing, in tandem with smoky quartz, providing the same energetic stimulated pathway job of taking all negativity by firmly grounding it through the root chakra, into the earth stars, into the earth marine matrix reprocessing. So the two together can be considered the transmutation ratio to assist with firmly grounding all excess rays, stray radial energies through the root chakra into the earth for reprocessing, to serve as a tangible format of etheric dialysis to consistently ground the excess energy into the earth marine matrix for contact patch efficiency, as well as, of course, work to ground all the excess energy of this rather ambitious exotic small unit to indeed encourage the magic becoming real, grounded into tangibility. And the aspect of the brass and the silver works as a output, yang, if you would, of projection for this grounded frequency, with the silver being the receptive yin intake to be the same exact ignition balance of both the output and intake simultaneously to be the dominant foundational vibration of this entire construct, completing its circuit to indeed firmly ground all the excess energy and transmute negativity into positivity, which is by itself very advantageous for a traveling practitioner from space to space, Airbnb to house to hotel, you name it. The recipient's the avid traveler, so this would be, in theory, quite helpful to maintain good vibrations wherever the person finds himself. And so, of course, the aspect too why the transmutation ratio is discussed as a foundational preface, of course, is to give the concept of all these exotic frequencies in this closed-loop circuit to have a very strong grounding purification contact patch simultaneously through the entire unit. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and discuss why this would be the 26th rendition of abundance in this timeline, right here, starting off with this blade band seen right here. So starting off, I'll start from this section right here. This right here will be root-talated quartz, which actually is clear quartz with bands of rutile inside, which works as a massive accelerant to the entire closed-loop emanation sequence seen like so, to further intensify the abundance ratio. Then going into peridot, a fantastic third and fourth chakra stimulant, that of growth. Essentially, it's a vibrational equivalent in crystalline format of chlorophyll, growth, which is very expansive and conducive to fostering abundance. In tandem with golden healer quartz, which is a tremendous high heart, gold white light, source alignment frequency. So obviously, that concept is very self-advantageous in description of a vibrational engineering construct to have a very strong emanation of the central sun of creation, or the heart of the universe, if you would, of the gold white ray of the source of creation. Obviously, is very, very advantageous to utilize as a subcapacitation agent for an already very strong green ray heart chakra stimulating primary focus blade band, which puts that source contact patch transferability into the green ray terrestrial heart human avatar, in theory, which of course is the basis of our circulation metaphysically and physically simultaneously, to make that new earth portal as well in that concept. Then to further stabilize the trajectory of the overture of the green ray would be the moss green agate seen right here, the most stable water elemental green ray heart chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom, to further stabilize the wavelength exaggeration of the abundance concentration. Then going into, once again, root-related quartz to make a massive intensification into the lovely emerald, the precious stone of great notoriety, the quintessential heart chakra stimulant of receptivity, which was quite famous in the human history, and also, of course, a true precious stone that literally every human has heard of for good reason, because it is a stone of antiquity and great notoriety and praise for generations, thousands of years, for a good reason. Emerald is the quintessential heart chakra ideal vibrational configuration to, of course, encourage that expansion of abundance. Then going into, once again, root-related quartz, peridot, golden healer quartz, into moss green agate, and so on to emerald to complete that particular abundance ignition sequence. And this actually is a double-bladed banded unit right here, consisting of the full spectrum of 7 rays, which will be discussed, with a very heavy, strong overture of red jasper to be a strong stabilization encouragement for the root chakra seen right here. So I'll go ahead and discuss that before I discuss the 7 rays, with the aspect of all the 7 rays seen right here, which will be discussed momentarily. Start off right here with the clear quartz being neutral acceleration into the red jasper seen right here, which is the quintessential stabilization of the root chakra in the mineral kingdom, which is very advantageous to encourage a very stabilized environment, particularly in the aspect of the rather exotic abundance ratio, to further intensify the stabilization of the root chakra to indeed be a very nice fortification to a physical healing environment in theory. And the aspect of why that's chasing the 7 rays, of course, is to take the excessive octave of the full stimulation seen right here, which is developed to split the entire chakra column, and further take the continuity excess and further stabilize the entire trajectory before it completes its circuit, as it's, of course, running at wide open throttle, max revs, if you would, on this entire self-contained charged unit. So starting off with the legendary ruby right here. Ruby is a quintessential root chakra stimulant of great notoriety, of a precious stone. Shouldn't need too much introduction. Clear quartz to be a neutral subcapacitator to, of course, encourage the ambient energy of these different nodal points igniting the sequence to intensify the sequence as it's developed to run a perpetual circuit at wide open throttle on the salt lamp. Then the aspect of clear quartz to be a neutral ambient accelerant into carnelian, a classic orange ray sacrum stimulant that actually is a fantastic stimulant to the lower three chakras, very much a good boon to the primal aspects of the human avatar. Then clear quartz into tiger's eye, a tremendous solar plexus stimulant, yet it also aligns the lower three chakras for harmony, equilibrium, and balance. Clear quartz into the peridot already mentioned to be the third and fourth chakra stimulant. Then clear quartz into emerald once again to be the quintessential green ray heart chakra stimulant. Then clear quartz into its cousin aquamarine, the blue ray cardinal water fourth and fifth chakra stimulant. Then going into clear quartz into blue sapphire, the antithesis to ruby, another precious stone of notoriety. Blue sapphire is quite the famous stone of royal antiquity and is a fantastic window elemental fifth and sixth chakra stimulant. Then going into clear quartz into the classic lapis lazuli, another fifth and sixth chakra stimulant of great Egyptian notarization and, of course, utilization by mystery schools and a favorite of millions for thousands of years for good reasons, to be a tremendous higher truth stimulant. Then clear quartz into the legendary amethyst, the quintessential violet ray crown chakra stimulant. So that concept right there of that ignition sequence, of course, is developed to evenly distribute the full ignition sequence of the ideal 7 rays through the environment of the contact patch of this entire device. And once again, take that excessive 7-ray stimulation and redirect it with the ignition sequence of going clear quartz into the red jasper, clear quartz, red jasper to further ambiently intensify the overture of the stabilization of the root chakra to indeed encourage a stability to making the magic real. Then next we'll be discussing the components on the blade face, and so this will be rather self-evident when I say this, but each individual crystalline structure terminated to the primary wire, copper, brass, and silver will be much like discussing the organs of the crystalline entity before us, so they all generate vibrational compound interest for the entire construct matrix. So at the very bottom right here is a lovely quintessential master healer I employ quite religiously named Star Argonite. It's a calcium-based full crystalline structure that works very fantastically to clear the entire auric field from any stagnancies that would be not of one's highest factory blueprint, or basically any impediments in the energy field that be manifesting as a dis-ease. So a tremendously advantageous full light bison from the bottom to top, every chakra configuration is cleared by this pattern very quickly and very gently, in tandem with its cohort that I employ quite frequently in tandem for maximum vibrational compound interest of seraphinite. Seraphinite is a lovely green ray crystal named after the seraphim archangels, which is very advantageous inherently, the concept of it being aligned to the seraphic realms. And the concept also of the green ray seraphinite being a fantastic, obviously, green ray heart chakra stimulant is also another full light body activator that is very effective for dismantling any patterns of dis-ease that be instruct in the structure, much like malware in the operating system that is not of one's highest truth connection, in a very gentle, graceful manner to be a master healer in its own right as well. And to further fortify the entire vibratory pitch from the ground up would be black tektite, which is a product of nickel iron meteorite that actually impacts sand from nickel iron meteorite, impacting sand from space, so it has an extraterrestrial cosmic jolt into creation, which is very useful to be utilized in a closed-loop circuit for a black ray, ground up, thank goodness, vibrational scaffolding increasement, basically to increase the entire vibratory baseline of cosmic energy that entered this world through very explosive means from, once again, I can't say this enough, luckily a black ray full vibrational increase for the entire chakra column from the foundation of the Earth stars, which is very advantageous for literally rising vibrations in entire space. Hence, it's been plugged to a house and will be, God willing, plugged to many different places on the adventures of the recipient's travels. Then right here, speaking more cosmic energy, this would be Libyan gold tektite. Libyan gold tektite is absolutely fantastic. Golden ray crystalline structure from the stars as well. That is quite fascinating because it is utilized by the pharaohs of old to be carved into scarab beetles to be the central pieces of their finery breastplates, which of course were indicative of their office of being the Magi God King of antiquity. And so the aspect of the mystical god kings of old right here is very heavily encapsulated with a very powerful fire energy that stimulates the sacrum and the solar plexus and simultaneously, yet it's also such a powerful cosmic gold ray induction that it stimulates the entire chakra column in unison of that of the impeccable gold ray of illumination. So that's a very powerful manifestation agent, as well as just an endless joy vibration that transcends the rigmarole that be slowing down the system by having extreme exuberance in that capacity, obviously in a very well dynamically balanced structure to get the most out of it with equilibrium. And of course, to work as a tremendous dharmic accelerant once again to encourage one's manifestation of their true divine self, that'd be very smoothly manifested opposed to the false self-imprintations that is called the human condition of things that, of course, program and divide us from our divine nature. Then, right next to this guy trying to get in the video, down here between this turquoise and Libya gold tektite is the lovely legendary moldavite. Even in a small dose in a close corrective circuit goes a very long way for being a tremendous dharmic swift kick in the pants of tremendous green ray storm momental heart chakra alignment to the emanations of one's divine blueprint or their dharmic self, the highest timeline. And so that is quite the swift crystal of green ray notoriety that is quite famous in this timeline for being also an element of the Holy Grail to have a very powerful connection in the heart to a source of creation. Ideally is the Holy Grail manifest to be in touch with who you are in truth is the great liberation that this provides, which would be quite taxing on the false self matrix, though, because moldavite's quite famous in this timeline for ruining people's lives, because indeed it is very volatile for the false self matrix of one's false self identity. That, of course, is perpetuated as their character identity is being shed internally and externally to become what they really are. Kind of like making an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs. That's what that guy does. But luckily, with all the transmutation and stabilization involved, it's developed to, of course, mitigate that timeline whiplash to make it a very graceful, God willing, transition to one's dharmic template in efficiency, ease, and grace. At least that's been the idea so far with the employment of moldavite seen right here. Then next to that is another famous crystal of great antiquity, turquoise. Literally a world-famous, world-utilized magical crystal of great notoriety, which I won't get into because I make the video probably 10 minutes longer. And the aspect of turquoise being a classic blue ray, fifth chakra stimulant is also an aspect of earth, fire, water, and wind, which would be denoted to the Lakota terrestrial medicine wheel of the terrestrial four elements of harmony and wholeness of the truth. Hence, it's an ancient grandfather ally, but it's been utilized across the world, which, like I said, I won't mention it because it's been used by everybody for good reasons. And is a tremendously fortifying, highest truth, fifth chakra stimulant that is also a very powerful pranic generator for physical vitality as well, in a practical term. Then right here will be Tibetan black quartz. Much like the star aragonite and the seraphinite, is part of the holy trinity of crystals I utilize quite frequently for a very dynamic range of a full light body activation. So much like its vibrational speaking cousins of seraphinite and the star aragonite, Tibetan black quartz is a fantastic full light body stimulant as well as a tremendous expansion of the higher chakras, and most importantly though, it also brings a very strong grounding influence in the lower chakras, so it makes for a very powerful full light body activator that'd be very, very encouraging to releasing patterns that be manifesting as a dis-ease of any kind, so to speak, in that regard as well. And so that's why these three have been the holy trinity of crystalline vibrations utilized together for quite a while now for practically utilitarian vibrational wholeness. So that'd be that. Then right here would be Larimar. Larimar is a very fantastic fifth and sixth chakra stimulant of both fire and water, and that it makes a very powerful oasis of calm of one's highest truth to be very much a serene one's truth induction, basically providing an oasis for that calm, centered balance that is very, very conducive for maintaining calm equilibrium, particularly with such a very diverse group of crystals of high-yield cosmic dharmic accelerants. It's very helpful to have a very nice, soothing, serene vibration in the background as well. Then the core of this device actually is oak from Sedona. That actually is from a very abundant tree that has its its feeder roots actually tapped into the waterway of Oak Creek, which means this tree of the wooden core that this whole core is founded around and built upon is a very abundant tree in its own right. And luckily, it's oak, being a very dense atomical structure, which has a very dense wood grain, which means it's a very lovely carbon-based frequency of strength, which of course is very applicable to the carbon-based avatars, for now at least, we find ourselves operating in this 3D plane. So that's very strong strengthening frequency right there of oak, of course. Then on both sides right here next to the oak would be selenite. So oftentimes I save selenite for the last part of the dissertations for a comprehensive capstone, but these mainframes are, of course, speaking of linearly in front of the camera is more prerogative, of course, for continuity's sake. So the selenite right here, it by itself is a fantastic master healer, as it's a tremendous 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant all the way to one's Godhead or higher self-contact patch. So it makes a very effective way to blow off the debris that be blocking one's conscious self to one's spiritual guidance, essentially. And through that high-frequency spiritual induction, also works to be a fantastic transmutation agent to burn off lower vibrational energies that would be not of one's highest good, of any kind of stagnancies from the divine transmutation induction through the system. So that's fantastic by itself, but where it truly shines in any given spiritual that passes through my hands into distribution is this important fact. It also has the capacity to run the circuit of all these crystals that I've mentioned so far, and yet to mention back here, and here up top. It also takes this entire frequency circuit, if you would. It works to purify all of these crystals, and it works to amplify or intensify all these crystals. But most importantly, perhaps, it also brings equilibrium and harmonization to the entire crystalline pitch for maximum utilization efficiency. So that's why they're such a staple in all light tech, no matter what variety it is, for that distinct purpose to, of course, increase the contact patch of one's spiritual guidance to, of course, liberate the debris from one's conscious self to their superconscious self into their conscious self is the goal of selenite. But, of course, making it more efficient in a very pragmatic way is why it's so important for these constructs. And to further augment that high frequency yield would be black kyanite seen right here. So on the very back side, before I discuss that, there is also a very large piece of black kyanite seen right here with its own blade band for a distinct purpose, which I'll go ahead and discuss them all in one shot right now. So black kyanite, and kyanites for that matter in general, are pretty much the most rapid transfers of energy in the mineral kingdom for whatever range application. But this construct has an exclusive utilization of black kyanite to, most importantly, ensure the contact patch transference of energy is being grounded through the system as quick as absolutely possible. Black kyanite is a very autoreactive grounding agent that works almost like a surge protector to ensure the capacity of this entire frequency, when transferred to the auric field, has a very strong grounded contact patch to encourage the tangibility of the magic, of course, and also B, with that surge protection, also the comfortability of rapidly transferring its energy through the system, and most importantly, encouraging the grounding output to, once again, encourage transmutation even more efficiently, like etheric Teflon. Etheric Teflon, and they have the aspect too of encouraging the entire frequency pitch of this construct to ground very quickly in the earth for rapid transference to make the magic real as well. So that's the aspect too, why that's quite the practical utilitarian aspect right there. And around the black, so that would be of course the entirety of this rather exotic abundance power pack notarized at this point. That's very diversified for a very distinctive, diverse function. So back here, go ahead and turn this guy to show it off. I already discussed the core of this very small power pack, just an auxiliary purification transmutation construct of the black kind to encourage the contact patch into the earth. But the blade band around this is actually quite the exotic transmutation variety of both tourmalated quartz, which actually is black tourmaline seen inside a quartz structure, to, of course, black tourmaline, like any black crystal, is very famous in this age to purify negativity into positivity by firmly grounding it. And the aspect also of is the clear quartz with the black tourmaline works to make a natural amplification of the black tourmaline in the structure, and as well as another neutral subcapacitation to the shungite seen right here. So shungite is quite the famous crystal in this day and age to mitigate EMF as well as 5G harmful wavelengths. So obviously having the amplification of black tourmaline in tandem with the shungite is designed to make a very competitive EMF mitigation frequency while being piloted by the purification of the salt lamp, once again grounding through the whole space, which is piloting this energy through all the outlets into the earth to make a tangible containment field by design. Then, so of course, that right there is a nice little practical aspect of another high-yield, diversified transmutation, simplistic power pack on the backside to encourage the mitigation of harmful wavelengths that be, once again, impeding a natural healthy flow of the subtle DNA that can be corrupted and imprinted by unnatural wavelengths we contend with as the modern human lives. Then the very, very top, go ahead and turn this back to position. Actually, I'll leave it like that so it shows a little bit. So right here, actually, this is quite the special crystal that is quite the far-out concept I've quite yet to fully master to keep it coherent and concise, because it's such a far-out dissertation aspect. So smoky celestial quartz, much like smoke quartz seen right here, is a fantastic, once again, transmitter negativity by grounding excess energy to the earth for reprocessing. So then the celestial format plays a very critical role in all these devices. Particularly when they're very high yield and diverse, to serve as a auto-regulator dimmer switch towards the comfortability of the auric field in contact. So obviously what that's meaning, what I'm trying to say in a coherent linear fashion right now, is that this crystalline structure works to take the overture of the entire closed loop circuit and make it very auto-reactive to the comfort range of frequency ingestion of any auric field in contact patch with it, which gets very meta very quickly as I try to stay calm and quiet and discuss this in one shot, because it's very, very far out and pretty challenging to have a very analytical dissertation on exactly this subject. So the aspect of the celestial works to auto-regulate the frequency pitch of the auric field in contact to ensure the frequency is at the most comfortable optimum for the recipient as well as for the highest good based on their higher spiritual blueprint to work as a EMI mitigator, or electromagnetic interference, or ego identity mitigator, I guess you could say, towards one's highest truth, intangibility, in a very conscious, grounded way, of course, to encourage, once again, as always, to make the magic real with tangibility, and to ensure the frequency pitch is always in a very comfortable optimum for the recipient or whoever the recipient has in proximity in the entire spaces, places, and beings he visits with this construct engaged, to be very much an agent to meet whoever is in direct contact with this construct or field in real time to auto-regulate the comfortable equilibrium pitch. I think that will basically do it, and I hope that almost made sense to the rational mind in that capacity. But it indeed does play a very critical role to encourage I go ahead and I'll move on from that. So that would be the entirety of the crystalline composition now well discussed. And so once again, I'll circle back to the primary directive of this entire construct. Of course, now that everything's been discussed, the salt lamp, once again, works to be heated by, most importantly, incandescent bulb, not LED, to generate the actually tangible heat, to heat the salt, to charge this entire premium to a very high yield, which of course is grounded through the house ground right there, which grounds through all of the outlets to perpetuate a tangible containment field to power this energy through to, quite simply, clear space, go into the copper rod, into the earth, much like Ghostbusters, to be a very tangible etheric vacuum cleaner to displace negativity and, of course, encourage positivity in a space and place the recipient, of course, will engage this into. Well, I think that's pretty comprehensive on abundance number 26, which, of course, like I mentioned, this will be the 26th rendition of this particular abundance platform, which has been developing tremendous vibrational compound interest of great success at this point. And so having another stationary unit, which, much like a satellite range, will, of course, intensify that abundance pitch frequency to expand the coverage, just like how the smartphone I'm using right now works with the satellites and cell phone towers, things like that, to expand the coverage of the abundance, and most importantly, in a very stabilized, dynamic, versatile capacity. Well, 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.